Alright, so I got an article from Paste. It's on Archive because, I don't care for Paste. Doctor Strange and the Insidious Misogyny of the MCU. Basically, this author is. I want to point out just a couple things I find kind of funny, but it's also kind of frustrating in a way if you really think about it. Anyway, she complains about how hard it is to be a female fan, the genre space, yeah, we've seen it, we've heard it before. The MCU waited for 20 films to feature a female lead and set on a Black Widow solo outing for so long the character died first, essentially rendering our project useless for any larger storytelling purpose. Okay, so far so good. She's right. Don't even get me started on the crass pandering that was that all-female team-up moment in Avengers Endgame. Yes, that was cringy as hell. As though letting a bunch of women stand near each other is the same thing as giving them things like interiority, which is a fucking made-up word for inner thoughts, emotional depth, and stories of their own. Which I guess, all words are made up, I suppose, in a way. But anyway, it goes on. She talks about it'd be one thing if the larger franchise was just simply ignoring its women. Basically, her thing is that she really hates the way that they've done Wanda in the Doctor Strange 2 movie. She complains about, they turned Peggy Carter's niece, Sharon, into the leader of an international crime syndicate. Sylvie was judged much more harshly. All this, whatever, But then there's, she goes through Wanda's history. She's introduced as a brainwashed Hydra captive, which her very existence and tragic well-meaning mistake is a catalyst by which the globally oppressive Sokovia Accords are enacted. She's constantly being punished for power she doesn't entirely understand and never asked for. She's forced to kill the love of her life not just once but twice during Avengers Infinity War in the name of saving the world from Thanos, her reward getting blipped out of existence for 5 years, and none of her alleged friends can even be bothered to call her afterward. At this point, who's even angry at her for mind controlling some random New Jersey town? Just kidding, mostly. Which basically sums it up right there. Anyway, it goes on. It says WandaVision is essentially perfect television, which I disagree. It's way too slow paced, but whatever. And it goes on and talks about basically they lost all the nuance from WandaVision in her eyes. In her place is simply a witch, a scheming, manipulative, murderous archetype who's suddenly monstrous instead of sympathetic, who seeks to replace her lost children by stealing another woman's. Okay, it might have some validity if you didn't come across so whining about all this stuff. Anyway, then she goes on and talks about the way she's portrayed. But Steven did all this kind of stuff and everything, and Wanda can't even fully claim her own rage because she's the convenient insertion of an evil MacGuffin that supposedly made her evil, the Darkhold stuff. And it says all of Wanda's decisions in WandaVision stem from the fact that she was desperate for a family. Doctor Strange 2 twists her maternal instinct into a chaotic and dangerous weapon, and essentially reducing her to a one-note supervillain. Now, I can agree with that to a point. I mean, but then she's got to complain about, basically the way that Strange is able to get away with so much stuff that Wanda can't. Basically, Stephen Strange commits every single sin he accuses Wanda of in this movie and still offered a chance at redemption. He's named a hero instead of a hypocrite. Blah blah blah, and it goes on and on. And then here's the last part I want to talk about real quick. Wanda did the impossible thing that was asked of her by killing Vision. She undid Westview by her own choice, I might add. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't make it right. It's like, if anything, that proves that what she did was wrong, that she chose to undo it. But anyway, I suppose that's too much nuance for her or whatever. And she complains about Clint Barton spent the 5 years as a blip straight up murdering people in the name of some nebulous vengeance, and not only gets immediately welcomed back into the Avengers fold or Warriors on series, blah blah blah. The thing is when Clint was murdering people, which he does feel terrible about, he was murdering like gangsters, horrible, murderous people. Now you can sit there and say, hey, that's terrible, that's wrong. But that is not the same as mind controlling an entire town of people for weeks and forcing them to live out your little fantasy world. Those aren't the same thing. Those are innocent people. Anyway, and she goes on and it continues. Like I said, I'll link this in the description box if you care to read it. I wouldn't really recommend it, but whatever. And it wraps up here. I've already gone over 4 minutes, so I'll go ahead and wrap this up. I just think it's stupid that she's sitting there complaining about, well, Wanda is just now, she does the same things that Strange does, but she's treated as a villain. He's treated like a hero. That wasn't the same person, but whatever. Or she was justified in some way to mind control those people, and she undid it by her own choice, I might add, and all that stuff. Or all this kind of just garbage. It's like, man, just shut up. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like you're trying to justify what Wanda did on the one hand, but also at the same time complain about it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.